tonight. Caitlin Clark and the young upstart Indiana Fever take on Kalia Copper. And
the U won 3 Olympic gold medals at the Summer Games between 1996 and 2004.
Back inside. Oh, good ball movement. And it's busted in the finish.
Dawn Staley left Caitlin Clark off the Olympic roster. Now, Clark's putting up 29 points and 10 assists in the WNBA. Fans are asking, did Staley make a big mistake? The decision to leave Clark off the US Olympic roster shocked many basketball fans. Staley, the team's coach, explained that some players didn't want Clark on the team. This surprising move left people wondering about the team dynamics and Clark's potential impact. Fans quickly took to social media to express their disappointment. Many questioned how the Olympic team could pass on such a talented player. The criticism was just beginning, and it would soon grow into a storm of debate across the basketball world. As Clark continued to shine in the WNBA, people couldn't help but imagine what she could have brought to the Olympic squad. Her performances left fans and experts alike wondering, did Staley's decision cost the US team a shot at greatness?
How has the perception of women in sports changed from when you were a player? You just returned from the Paris Games, where the US women's basketball team defeated France for their 8th straight Olympic gold medal.
The perception is we're more popular now.
The anticipation was electric as Caitlin Clark stepped onto the court for her return to WNBA action. Fans packed the arena, eager to see if the rookie sensation could live up to the hype that had been building during her absence. They didn't have to wait long for an answer. From the moment the game tipped off against the Phoenix Mercury, Clark was on fire. She wasted no time making her presence felt, sinking a deep three-pointer that had the crowd on their feet. But Clark was just getting started. Throughout the game, Clark put on a masterclass in offensive basketball. She weaved through defenders with ease.
Clark.
Really get out in transition, see if you can get some early quick buckets. No, it is extremely difficult, just one, not only physically, but also mentally.
Finding open teammates for crisp assists. When the defense collapsed on her, she'd pull up for impossible-looking jumpers that somehow found the bottom of the net. One sequence in particular showcased Clark's complete skill set. She drove hard to the basket, absorbing contact and finishing a tough layup while drawing the foul.
She'll likely be part of future teams, probably with the player she's guarding right now, Caitlin Clark, who finds Nalissa Smith. Year veteran Diana Taurasi dialing back. And it's Clark on the other end out of the Olympic break. Indiana comes up with a turnover. Here is Clark. This time it's Smith with a foul and an and one.
On the very next possession, Clark spotted up from well beyond the arc and drained another 3, leaving defenders shaking their heads in disbelief. By the final buzzer, Clark's stat line was jaw-dropping. 29 points, 10 assists, and 5 rebounds. It wasn't just the numbers that impressed, but the way she controlled the flow of the game.
Here's Mitchell, behind the defense. Clark attacking, gets inside, working over Cloud, draws the foul. And Caitlin Clark will head to the free throw line.
Clark's court vision and decision-making were that of a seasoned veteran, not a rookie finding her footing in the league. This performance wasn't a one-off either. Clark has been rewriting the WNBA record books all season long. She became the first rookie in league history to record over 450 points and 200 rebounds in a single season. Let that sink in for a moment. No other player in the 26-year history of the WNBA has achieved this feat in their debut year. Clark's impact goes beyond just filling up the stat sheet. In her last 2 games alone, she racked up an astounding 53 points and 29 assists. That's the most points and assists any rookie has ever tallied in a 2-game span. She's not just playing well for a newcomer, she's dominating the league like a superstar in her prime. But Clark's value to the WNBA extends far beyond the hardwood. Since her arrival, the league has seen a massive surge in viewership and interest. Games featuring Clark are must-see TV, with ratings skyrocketing whenever she takes the court. Social media buzzes with highlights of her no-look passes and deep three-pointers. Sponsors have taken notice too. Clark's jersey sales have been through the roof, and companies are lining up to partner with the young star. She's quickly becoming the face of women's basketball, bringing new fans to the sport and elevating the entire WNBA in the process. All of this begs the question, how could someone performing at this level have been left off the Olympic roster? Clark's WNBA explosion has only intensified the scrutiny on Dawn Staley's decision. Fans are left wondering what kind of impact Clark could have had on the international stage, representing her country victory against the world's best. As Caitlin Clark's dominance in the WNBA continued, the backlash against Dawn Staley's decision to leave her off the Olympic roster reached new heights. Fans took to social media in droves, expressing their disbelief and frustration. One viral tweet summed up the sentiment: watching Clark drop 29 and 10 while Olympic team struggles. Staley, you seeing this? The contrast between Clark's stellar performances and the US team's challenges on the international stage only fueled the fire. Fans shared side-by-side comparisons of Clark's stats and those of Olympic team members, questioning the decision-making process. "How do you leave the best player in college basketball at home?" became a common refrain across basketball forums and comment section. Critics were quick to point out the apparent contradiction between Staley's public statements and her actions. Many recalled Staley's passionate speeches about uplifting women's sports and providing opportunities for young talent. Now, those same supporters were left scratching their heads. One fan's post gained significant traction. Staley talks about growing the game, then benches its biggest star. Make it make sense. The speculation about how the US women's basketball team might have performed with Clark on the roster reached fever pitch. Fans dissected every game, every play, imagining how Clark's sharpshooting and court vision could have changed the outcome. Add Clark's three-point shooting, and we're bringing home gold easy, one armchair coach declared confidently. As the debate raged on, rumors began to swirl about tension within the team and whispers of player influence on roster decisions. Fans latched onto every tidbit of information, trying to piece together the full story behind Clark's exclusion. The pressure on Staley to address the situation grew with each passing day and every highlight reel play from Clark. Amid the storm of criticism and speculation, Caitlin Clark's response to her Olympic exclusion stood out for its grace and maturity. In a post-game interview that quickly went viral, Clark said, "I have so much respect for Team USA. I'm gonna be supporting them, cheering them on." Her words showcased a level of sportsmanship that impressed fans and critics alike. Clark's high road approach only served to amplify the questions surrounding Staley's decision. Fans praised Clark's character while simultaneously wondering how such a team-first player could have been left off the roster. The contrast between Clark's diplomacy and the fervor of the public debate highlighted the complexity of the situation. As Clark continued to break records and draw unprecedented attention to the WNBA, the conversation shifted. Fans began to look beyond the Olympics, focusing on the long-term impact of Clark's rise. Maybe missing the Olympics was a blessing in disguise, one fan mused. Clark's changing the game right here at home. The debate over Clark's Olympic snub evolved into a larger discussion about the future of women's basketball. Fans and analysts alike pondered how the sport might change with Clark as its new face. Her ability to attract new viewers and sponsors to the WNBA didn't go unnoticed, with many wondering if this domestic success could translate to even greater interest in international competitions down the line. Throughout it all, basketball enthusiasts eagerly awaited Staley's response to the growing criticism. Would she stand by her decision or acknowledge that circumstances had changed? The anticipation built as fans speculated about how Staley might address the situation and what it could mean for future team selections. As the dust settled on Caitlin Clark's explosive WNBA performances, all eyes turned to Dawn Staley. The pressure was mounting for the Olympic coach to address the elephant in the room. How would she respond to Clark's undeniable dominance and the growing chorus of criticism? Staley, known for her straightforward approach, didn't shy away from the topic. In a recent interview, she acknowledged the impact Clark was having on the sport. "Caitlin's making waves, no doubt about it," Staley said. "Her performances are forcing us all to take notice." The coach's tone had shifted significantly from her earlier statements about Clark's Olympic exclusion. Gone was the defensiveness, replaced by a newfound openness to reassessing the situation. Staley's words carried weight as she admitted, "If we were selecting the team today, Caitlin would be in really high consideration." This acknowledgement was a far cry from the initial justification for leaving Clark off the roster. Staley's willingness to reconsider her stance in light of Clark's exceptional play demonstrated a level of flexibility and humility that resonated with fans and critics alike. But Staley didn't stop there. She went on to praise Clark's broader impact on women's basketball. "What Caitlin's doing for our sport is remarkable," Staley enthused. "She's carried a heavy load, bringing new fans and excitement to the game." These words from Staley held particular significance. As a respected figure in women's basketball, her recognition of Clark's contributions carried immense weight. It wasn't just about Olympic roster decisions anymore. It was about acknowledging a rising star who was changing the landscape of the sport. Staley's comments about Clark carrying a heavy load for women's basketball struck a chord with many. It highlighted the immense pressure and expectations placed on young athletes to not only perform on the court, but also to be ambassadors for their sport. Clark's ability to handle this responsibility with grace and skill had clearly impressed Staley. The coach's evolving perspective on Clark reflected a broader shift in the basketball world. It wasn't just about one player or one team selection anymore. Clark's performances were forcing a re-evaluation of how talent is identified and nurtured in women's basketball. Staley's openness to reassessing team selections based on current performance sent a powerful message. It signaled a willingness to adapt and evolve, qualities crucial for the growth of any sport. This flexibility could have far-reaching implications for future team selections and the development of young talent in women's basketball. The impact of Clark's play extended beyond just her individual achievements. It was sparking conversations about the future of the sport, the criteria for team selections, and the role of emerging talent in shaping the game's direction. Staley's comments added fuel to these discussions, encouraging a more dynamic and responsive approach to talent evaluation. As news of Staley's revised stance spread, fans and analysts began to speculate about the future. Would Clark's performances lead to changes in how Olympic teams are selected? Could this signal a shift towards a more fluid, performance-based selection process in international competitions? Staley's words also hinted at a growing recognition of the importance of star power in women's sports. Clark's ability to draw new fans and media attention to the WNBA hadn't gone unnoticed. It raised questions about balancing team chemistry with the potential impact of including breakout stars on national teams. The coach's praise for Clark extended beyond just her on-court skills. Staley highlighted Clark's role in elevating the entire sport, saying, "Caitlin Clark, if you're out there, you are one of the GOATs of our game." This recognition of Clark's broader impact on women's basketball signaled a shift in how player value is assessed. As the basketball world digested Staley's comments, the conversation began to shift. It was no longer just about whether Clark should have been on the Olympic team. Instead, people were discussing how to harness and nurture talent like Clark's to grow women's basketball on a global scale. The Clark-Staley situation highlights bigger issues in women's sports. It's not just about one player or one team. It's about how female athletes are recognized and treated. The WNBA is growing fast, with more fans and sponsors taking notice. Clark's amazing performances are a big reason why. This whole debate shows how much impact one player can have. Clark isn't just changing games, she's changing the entire landscape of women's basketball. Her success is making people rethink how teams are built and how talent is developed. As women's sports keep evolving, performances like Clark's will keep pushing things forward. It's exciting to think about what's next. Will we see more young stars shaking things up? How will the game look in 5 or 10 years? One thing's for sure, the future of women's basketball is bright, and players like Clark are leading the way.